Russian President Vladimir Putin is blaming Ukraine for increased fighting between pro-Russian rebels and Ukrainian armed forces. At a news conference today, Putin said Ukraine needs money and is exporting world powers. And he said they could, quote, best squeeze that money out of the European Union, out of individual countries in Europe, and out of the U.S. and international financial institutions by portraying itself as a victim of aggression. So far, President Trump has been silent on alleged violations to the ceasefire agreement this week. Senior international correspondent Nick Payton-Walsh explains what's happening there on the ground.
Pam, Ukraine's war hasn't stopped for the past months, even years, but we haven't really seen an episode of violence quite like a 24-hour period just a couple of days ago in which monitors recorded about 2,500 explosions in just that 24-hour period. This is, frankly, one of the parts of the front line where violence intermittently escalates. It's hard to know who's firing at who started what, but it's very clear that the heavy weapons banned under the ceasefire, yes, there's supposed to be a ceasefire there, were being used. We saw some of that ourselves. Now, why is this happening at this particular point? Hard to tell. There are some suggestions that perhaps the Ukrainian army themselves are feeling maybe they want to start taking back some of the territory that they lost to Russian separatists well over a year ago now, perhaps even two in some areas, or maybe there's a broader Russian game, and it all feeds into emotions about the Trump administration. He's been very clear he'd like a good relationship with Vladimir Putin if it's possible. Maybe some Ukrainians are nervous and want to change the facts on the ground before that Moscow-Washington entente is really in play. Or perhaps too, there's a sense amongst the Russians that they have a new era of opportunity. Many analysts think Russia hasn't finished its moves in Ukraine, that perhaps it wants to link up the peninsula of the Crimea in the south with the territories in the east that the separatists that it backs control. A lot of volatility, a lot of explosions, suggestions of 13 dead on the Ukrainian side since Sunday, possibly 2 or more civilians on the separatist side. Hard to get totally clear facts, but not at all hard to see here. Tempers are frayed, the situation very volatile indeed, and all because Donald Trump hasn't really shown his hand when it comes to this, what's fast becoming Europe's longest running conflict. Pam?
All right, our thanks there to Nick Payton-Walsh, and thank you so much for spending a part of your Thursday with us. I'm Pamela Brown, and the lead with Jake Tapper starts right now.